Assalamu alaikum. This is Amina from New Wave Global. Today, I'm really looking forward to my conversation, which I believe is going to be a landmark, because the group of individuals that I'm going to be talking to today are ambassadors of change. They're trailblazers. They are changing or striving hard to change the narrative that has defined the relationship between Pakistan and American communities for decades. They are trying to break the stereotype. I am going to be in conversation with the directors of APEX, an American Pakistan education exchange program, which is a unique collaborative effort between three distinct institutions, which include Kinnaird College for Women in Lahore, Pakistan, the Bristol Community College, Falls River, Massachusetts, and Sauk Valley Community College, Dixon, Illinois. Thank you, professors, for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
So I'm going to start off with you, Professor Edleman. He's a professor of political science and communication and the study abroad coordinator at Sauk Valley Community College in Dixon, Illinois. He has integrated cross-national virtual collaboration into his classrooms. He's a board member of the Illinois Consortium for International Studies and Programs. His international programming has extended into Cambodia, India, Pakistan, the Philippines, and the West Bank. Next, I have Professor Farah Habib, who is the professor at Bristol Community College. She teaches writing and multicultural literature. She has been recognized locally and nationally for her dedication to engaging the academic community both inside and outside the classroom in dialogue about diversity and acceptance. She earned her master's in rhetoric and composition from the University of Rhode and master's in fine arts and creative writing from Bennington College, Vermont. And finally, I have Zubda Zia, who's from Kinnaird College for Women, and she's an assistant professor and head of the economics department. She's also completing her PhD in public policy and governance at FCC University, and also a recipient of the U.S. State Department Study of U.S. Institute's SUSI Scholarship Program on U.S. Economics and Sustainable Development. She also acts as a principal organizer and moderator for All International Conference at Kinnaird College. Whoa, professors, it seems like there's a lot of intellect on the web space right now. I think, all right.
Thank you for the brilliant introduction, Amna.
So sorry.
No worries. So I'm just going to jump right in and ask you, what is the inspiration behind this American Pakistan education exchange program?
Well, I can jump in. We really wanted to create a program that created an opportunity for both Pakistani students and American students to have a dialogue. It first initiated when I was in a conference. Well, both Farah and I were in a conference in Pakistan and met Zubda. And towards the end of the conference, Zubda said, I'd like to bring Pakistani students to the US if there's ever an opportunity. And so we worked together to make that happen. We were able to get a grant the first time, and they came over in October of 2023. And then we had, 7 students from Kinnaird at that time and 3 faculty. And they spent a week at Bristol Community College and a week at Sauk Valley Community College. And it was nice because their students and our students worked together on collaborative projects. In that regard, it had an academic component in addition to the cultural component as well. But our faculty also got to meet together and work together to create projects for future, integration into the classroom. And then we went back in February for 10 days, taking faculty from both of our colleges back to Kinnaird. And then we had the second round here in October. We just finished up a couple of days ago with 6 students and 3 faculty from Kinnaird at both of our institutions.
So what brought it about in the first place? Farah, how did you end up being in Pakistan and meeting Zubda and all that?
Yeah, so I was born in Pakistan, but I basically grew up here, and before 2022 I hadn't been back to Pakistan in about a quarter of a century. So when I went back, I guess it ignited this. Well, actually, just to back up a little bit, during the pandemic, I started working on a project, which was a project to compile Pakistani literature written in English in an anthology and a book proposal. And so I was already sort of rekindling my connection to Pakistan. And then when I went back there and I met wonderful people like Zubda, um, I saw this as an opportunity to um, sort of, I guess, redefine my identities, but also as a way for other people outside of Pakistan to understand what it was really about. And I saw that there was a real gap between people's perception in the West of Pakistan and what the reality on the ground was. So I myself wasn't aware. I mean, I don't want to say I wasn't aware. I didn't realize the extent, the magnitude of the talent and intellectual, I'll say talent again, that was that is present in Pakistan, and the rich, beautiful history of Lahore. I felt like the world was missing out on it. And when Zubda and Paul talked to me about this idea of having students come and see what Pakistan was about and having faculty involved, I just couldn't resist that.
Yeah, and just to add on to it, I was reading the testimonials from students, the US students who visited Pakistan, and all of them had great things to say about it. And it seemed like it was almost like an eye opener for them, because whatever they had seen in the media, what they found in reality was total opposite to that.
Honestly, these were like 8 academics who visited us in February. So coming February, we're going to have students, inshallah. We plan to bring a group of 12 academics and students. So last February, it was only scholars who visited Kinnaird College. But yes, the testimonials, they speak volume.
Yeah.
There were lots of stereotypes that were, shattered, lots of misconceptions that were dispelled, and that primarily is the target of Apex. And that is why I just proposed to Professor Paul, if there is ever an opportunity where we could bring our students, particularly female, girl students, to the US and expose them to a completely different culture and just evaluate how they represent their college, their country. And I share with you with utmost pride, their representation has been absolutely brilliant. And not only has there been lots of stereotypes that Pakistanis, that Americans have of Pakistan that have been dispelled. I think it's been both ways. Pakistanis also tend to harbor lots of misconstrued notions about Americans. There are lots of good understanding that has come about because of Apex, and that primarily was the objective, to start a dialogue, to start conversations between the youngsters who ultimately are going to be, are going to be bridging the gaps. And that has successfully happened in these 2 rounds that have happened so far. And we hope that, Apex continues to flourish.
That's definitely great to hear. I'm sure there have been many, but if each one of you would like to share what's been the most rewarding moment of this cultural exchange for you, we can start with you, Professor Edelman, again.
Sure. I guess I'll give a couple of examples. Just in general, the ability of the students to work together. When I recruit students for the program, a lot of the time they're hesitant. I think partly just meeting new people is difficult for the young generation nowadays. But the ability for them to kind of work together, and then after they break the ice, they just start having conversations just like any friend that they would have in their own circle. And that collaboration is something that really stands out for me. I think kind of the longer legacy that I've noticed is the impact on faculty. The faculty that we've taken overseas to Kinnaird, they have stuck with the program, have continued to help with the program, and they're asking to actually go back to Pakistan now. So they've have seen sort of the hospitality that's quite well known for Pakistan, and they've absorbed it, and they just sort of love the environment and have started to integrate Pakistan studies into their curriculum through the modules in their classroom as well.
If I could add, there's several moments, but you asked for just one. So when the students were at Bristol Community College in Massachusetts, one of the first things we did was take them to New York City, and we invited our students as well, meaning my college students, and we took them on a train. So we boarded the Amtrak from Providence, Rhode Island, and all the way up to Manhattan. And it was such a delight to see the Pakistani students and our Bristol students sitting in a pod of 4 and just talking amongst themselves like they were friends from beginning for forever. And they're just sharing stories, laughing. And it was such a heartwarming moment to see these 2 groups of students come from 2 different parts of the world where they probably would not have met each other had they not had this opportunity. And then from there on, there were several moments like that when they were working in the library at my college, laughing and taking notes on the whiteboards. And then later, the next night, there was a dinner where we brought everybody together. And after dinner, the young people decided that they were going to watch a horror movie, this being Halloween season. And they all just got together, huddled up in a corner, and were watching a scary movie.
Making memories.
So, Amna, there've been a couple of moments where I felt that, I wish this could just happen on a larger scale, and the politicians were bent upon being so divisive, and they're bent upon just creating borders wherever they can. Programs like these are aimed at bringing people together. And one of the most special moments for me was when last year we decided on 2 themes. We gave them projects about women in both the worlds, that is developed and developing world, the challenges that they face. And the second theme was mental health issues, how the youth both in the developed and the developing world, how they're navigating their way. And this time round, taking inspiration from what happened in Bangladesh, we thought that we're going to discuss the agency of students and how they can use that agency to bring, betterment to the world. And under that agency, they decided that they're going to talk about how to get rid of religious discrimination and what damage religious discrimination, racism has done both in the developed and the developing world. So what made me extremely proud was when we paired 2 students, one Orthodox Jew from the US, from Bristol Community College, and one practicing girl from Kinnaird College who wears a niqab. And they were sitting, sharing the same space, discussing, arguing in a very healthy, amiable, respectful manner. And the project that they presented was just mind-blowing. Simple, doable policies recommended by people who think that if these policies are in place, the world would definitely become a better place. So that I felt, at that very point in Bristol, I felt that, such programs are extremely, extremely important, because what you learn outside the classroom setting is what stays with you and what helps you act a particular way. So that, for me, that was, one of the best moments of Apex this year. Amidst lots of many more.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's really heartwarming to know. And I know you've all touched upon it briefly, how the students are learning collaboration, learning about each other's culture. But are there any specific benefits that the students who are participating or who will be participating of this program are going to get out of this exchange?
Well, I can talk about study abroad in general. With study abroad, there's been a number of different studies associated with this. And students that do exchanges, they have higher critical thinking skills. They have more what we call global capital and cultural capital. That means they can sort of weave in and out of different cultures with greater flexibility and adaptability. They have a greater ability to communicate across cultures. They have just higher GPAs as students as well. And so, and the maturity rate, for example, they just sort of mature as adults at a higher rate. So, for example, we had a student last spring that was part of the APEX program. And then she also did study abroad last spring. I guess, well, she was part of APEX last fall and then spring overseas. But because of the two programs, she's matured a great deal, very responsible. She's even her parents have talked about how much she's matured, and she asked to be a part of the program again this year. And so I said yes, and she became one of the leaders of the program for us, and one of the ones that we would like to bring to Pakistan in the spring. So the ability just to communicate with other people and the cultural characteristics, the maturity, because a lot of times they have to travel on their own, do things on their own. And many students for the first time, are doing these things. And so they learn that they actually can do it. And the confidence level within them is just something that grows quite significantly.
If I could add, I think of Apex as planting a seed, because it's not a semester-long program, right? So it's about a week, 10 days. So it's planting a seed in the minds of young students about, challenging or thinking critically about whatever story that they're getting about someone else. There isn't just one story that's there. So dig deeper, try to find out more, because look, you met these people from Pakistan, you met these students from the US. They weren't what you thought they would be. They weren't what the media told you about. Maybe there are other people out in the world where you are assuming things about them. Take the time to learn about someone else.
I think, Amna, there are multiple benefits that the students can derive and have derived from exchange programs. So I've been on an exchange program myself, and I can't thank whoever's responsible for that. I can't thank Allah. I can't thank the US State Department for the opportunity, because it just changed my perspective on a lot of things. I was exposed to 18 different scholars from Mexico, Honduras, India. As a matter of fact, I got to share the room with an Indian scholar, Raj Shri. I don't know if you're watching this,
I
Raj.
remember that.
We got along so well, Amna, and there we have media bent upon highlighting the differences and hatred, and just spewing out negativity between the people of India and Pakistan. So this is what exchange programs basically do. I feel just dragging our students out of the comfort zone and exposing them to a situation where they have to be independent, where they have to be on their own, and they have to realize the responsibility that they're representing, not just their families, their institutions, but their country. I think that gives them a lot of confidence. And for me, I'm really passionate about giving that exposure to my girl students. I'm an equal advocate of rights of boys as well, of men as well. But I feel in country like Pakistan, where generally we see a bias or a skew against the girls, I think there can be no better opportunity for our students to travel across continents. Some of them, for some of them, it was the first time on the airplane. So that's a big thing. And then going to a country as amazing as the US, interacting with the Americans, trying out new cuisines, and then being culturally sensitive. To me, that was a huge, that came as a pleasant surprise that my girls had actually read up a lot about the social norms in the US, and they were really, really respectful. Not even once did I, encounter an embarrassing moment where I felt that, they weren't really aware of the norms that are here in the US. They might not disagree with a lot of things. We might not approve of a lot of things, but maturity requires that you're respectful towards differences and diversity that they're exposed to. And that is what our girls did. And to me, as an academic, I think at times we tend to underestimate ourselves, and we do not really give ourselves due credit. and due acknowledgement. Whenever I bring my students here, I take pride in the efforts of all the teachers who are working at Kinnaird. I'm sure we all are doing something good to have produced girls like these who represent so confidently, so maturely, who are respectful of the differences of a completely different culture. So I think not just to the students, the academics benefit a great deal, because every year we tend to bring faculty as well. And then another benefit is that conversations start. Now the apex round has ended, but I'm sure the conversation, this is just the beginning of the conversation, and the bonds that they've formed, they're going to last them quite some time. And this conversation is going to create a ripple effect, because the batch of 6 girls here, they're going to go back. They have taken back home some strong messages, which I'm sure they're going to start a conversation on back at Kinnaird. And I think, like Farah said, we've just sowed the seed. And now let's just see what plant, comes out of it. And we're hopeful it's going to be a very healthy, beautiful plant of peace, harmony, of this will to promote coexistence, not just tolerance, coexistence.
We've spoken a good deal about the good that has come out of this program, but I'm sure it's not been smooth sailing all these years that you have been in existence. What are some of the challenges that you have faced?
So I can say from our end, because we are a community college, only about 34% of our students are full-time, the rest are part-time. We have a very wide range of students in terms of age, and most of our students work either part-time or full-time, have families. And as a result, sometimes it's difficult for them to actually, participate in every activity of the program. So we have to go out and recruit students that are not just very bright, that want to engage in the program, but have available time to do it. And because of this, we try to provide flexibility into the engagement by our students. So we get about 5, 6, 7 students, and some of them can make it to all the activities, some can't. But if we build in that flexibility, it makes them feel like they're a part of the program. They have investment in the program. They may come to, just 3 or 4 of the events, but those are enough for them to have engagement with the students. So that sort of challenge that community colleges have has been something that's been a barrier that we've had to try to overcome.
For me, the challenges, in addition, I think I totally agree with Paul, but I also want to add that where Fall River is located, we have 4 campuses, and we want to make the most of their time that the students are here from Pakistan, and trying to cover a lot of different things in the small amount of time is very challenging given our limited resources. Our college gave a small foundation grant to us, and we also got some additional funding from American Institute of Pakistan Studies, but we had to be very creative in the way in which we spent that money so that we could stay within budget. So a lot of it requires a lot of legwork on my part and the part of all 3 of us we can't hire outside help as much. So that means, like the first time we did it, I cooked a meal for the faculty when they came here. And the second time I did a lot of driving of a big van to pick them up from the airport, take them to an Airbnb. That was actually, we got the Airbnb thanks to the kindness of a faculty member who allowed us to use her Airbnb. So we really have to pull strings, and that's the most challenging part after what Paul was saying, is trying to be creative with the resources and making the most of that time that we have with them.
I think I'll agree with both the professors here. I think funding is always and has always been one of the issues. What's interesting is that we know that our governments are rich. We know that they have tons of money in their kitties. But what's unfortunate is that they would not really prioritize education and programs like these. So it's just a misallocation of resources that has been a massive problem back in Pakistan. So we've been lucky that, our administration at Kinnaird, they've been really supportive. Our previous principal, Dr. Ruxana David, she supported us through and through. And luckily, the new principal, Dr. Iram Anjum, she's also supportive, and she's extended, she's promised that this Apex is going to continue, inshallah, and she'll continue supporting us. But in terms of financial aid for students, I think we need to have enterprising bodies and corporate sector maybe to pitch in and sponsor programs like these, which are going to be transformative. Not just with reference to the students who happen to be on that program, but I think in terms of conversations being started and in stereotypes being shattered. So all those corporate entities that claim of being cognizant of the importance of CSR, I think they should start pitching in, and they should reach. We will be reaching out to them, but I think they need to play their part, because funding and resources are a big issue. And then, Amna, although Pakistan is a very safe country, but the perception that media has been projecting is as if we just are blasting bombs every now and then, right? So security, making sure that the Americans are comfortable coming to the US, that is a task. And then their mobility here, their movement here in Lahore, whenever they're in Lahore, it's nerve-wracking for me just to make sure that each one of them is safe and they get back home safe and sound. So these are some of the logistical challenges that we face in Pakistan, primarily funding. And I think same is the case in the US as well, not just in Pakistan. So a lot of our parents who agreed to send their daughters abroad, they were slightly concerned about the gun laws in the US, and they had very intelligent questions, because that is what media projects. And luckily, because of a lot of effort by Professor Farah and Professor Paul, students were extremely comfortable in the US. And we tend to do the same when they're there in Pakistan. We try to ensure that they're comfortable. There's no fear element involved. We take security on board. And alhamdulillah, most of the organizations and institutions and bodies that we've reached out to, they have cooperated. So I think we need to give due credit, credit wherever it's due. But if I were to sum it down, I think funding basically is one of the biggest challenges that three of us face.
So, like I was about to say that all three of you have alluded to financial constraints, resource limitation as a challenge to this program. I was just wondering if there are any plans to in some way showcase the benefits of this program to the funding authorities, or anything that would help you gain more funds or provide you with access to people or agencies that could be resourceful in helping out this program?
Paul, do you want to go first?
I'll let you go ahead.
So, Amna, what we did this time was, let me tell you, last time when we came here, Apex, it was the first round. So this time we felt that there was a lot more interest in Apex. So what we did was that Professor Paul, Farah, and I, we collaborated and we wrote for a grant from CDAF, that's Citizen Diplomacy Action Fund. And luckily we won the grant worth $10,000. And it was allocated to a storytelling workshop, which was conducted in two of the rural areas, that is Poolnagar and Karor Pakka in Punjab. So what we did was that Professor Paul and Professor Farah, they brought some cameras from the US, which the people had graciously donated. Those cameras were handed out to the students of two schools in Poolnagar and Karor Pakka. And students from Kinnaird College helped those young children take photographs of whatever they fancied, or of whatever that was close to their hearts. And they wrote little stories explaining what those pictures depicted, right? And then we got them framed and we brought the exhibit to Bristol and Sauk Valley. And the response that we received was just phenomenal. And the level of interest that I witnessed this time was phenomenal. The fact that one of the representatives of New Bedford and a couple of more policymakers and legislatures were there in presence at Bristol speaks volume of the impact that Apex is happening. And we're kind of hopeful that, inshallah, we're going to tap into new sources of funding. So AIPS, that's American Institute of Pakistan Studies, has been really supportive of Apex, and due to Professor Paul's and Professor Farah's magic, we have won grants. But then we need to tap into new sources of funding, right? That is where the corporate sector and maybe some governmental institutions come into play. So this time for February, we have reached out to some of the governmental public organizations. We've reached out to Punjab government, and we're pretty hopeful that they will be playing their role in bringing a group of American academics and students to Lahore in February. So fingers crossed. We're hopeful that how Apex is picking up, and how the hype that we've been able to build so far, we will be able to tap into new sources.
And I'll just say we do homestays with the students. Part of that is to give them a cultural experience within our community. The other part is it also helps save resources as part of the program. But it also builds linkages with our community besides the college itself. So, for example, our president of the college hosted a couple of students this year. And one of the faculty that went to Pakistan last February hosted faculty or hosted students both this time and last time. And those personal relationships that get developed help to create sustainability within the program. They see the personal impact of it and the personal value of it. So while the financial limitations may be there, the support from the administration can be strong in terms of promoting the long-term growth of the program.
And I want to add that, every community has a Pakistani community built into it of some kind. And I would like to ask the Pakistani communities out there to consider supporting such programming. I know that many of us have many priorities where charity and supporting comes. And, you've got your local mosques to support, you've got needs and campaigns and projects overseas to support, and then you've got your community organizations that you need to support. But I think there is also a valid argument to be made for cultural exchange programs like this, because they are an investment in the future of both countries, and also, I think, Zubda, you said it, world peace, tolerance, and acceptance, which are essential, especially these days.
Thank you, Farah, actually, for mentioning that, because like you mentioned, that it's not the general understanding of the community that they could actually fund programs like this too. Most of the time, the conception is that these programs are mostly just funded by government or governmental organizations or educational institutions. So I'm glad you brought that up, and we can hopefully spread this word around, making people understand that this is definitely a kosher investment if they want to make. This kind of funding is totally, private funding is totally accepted for these programs. Thank you, professors, for joining me today. I hope this ripple turns into a tsunami of change, of limitless educational benefits for students for both the countries and across the world, hopefully. Thank you. I really appreciate your input.
Amina, can I just add one more thing here?
Absolutely.
So, the aim of Apex is not just to bring students from Kinnaird and to the US and have American students here back in Pakistan. We need to expand the network. We aim to expand the network and have the impact felt by the public schools in Pakistan as well. So that's the next target of Apex, that we take workshops, we train the trainers at Kinnaird, where we take on board academics from other institutions, and then we take the workshops to the public schools of Punjab. So it's not just the traveling and the fun element that has to be highlighted. There's a bigger goal to it, and the goal is to be as inclusive as possible and take on board marginalized communities, marginalized religious communities, Christians, Sikhs, Hindus, and take our workshops there to add some value to their lives as well. So I just thought this thing has to be highlighted as well, that Apex has multi-layered objectives. Some of them, alhamdulillah, we've achieved, and striving to achieve the rest of them as well.
I'm glad you brought that up too. Thank you.